welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, India's benchmark stock indices have recovered as of yesterday during the last 2 hours of trade, recording their best session since September of 20th. This was supported largely by the rising banking stocks, and this was seen after a dramatic reversal from lows was seen across the board, led by the Nifty bank, which also will be the index to watch out for once again today, particularly on its weekly expiry session as well. Remember, it was the almost 1,000 point rally that took the recovery, to top shape in the markets yesterday for the Nifty bank. It ended at 52,200, while the Nifty also managed to pull up 200 points above the flat line. 24,213 was the level at which it ended the session at as well. And as we are now going to be seeing even a more closer contest between the Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump, and the competition is going to get even more fierce. All eyes will be on who will become the next US president. So all the cues are largely going to be coming in from the global markets, especially the US markets as well. Already what is being indicated is that Trump has already won Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia in Tuesday's presidential election, while Harris has captured Vermont. Edison research projected that polls are closed in the first 9 US states already, including critical Georgia and North Carolina. So we'll just have to see. Markets are going to be on the edge to really find out what the US presidential election results will now mean for the global markets at large. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fine Wednesday morning to welcome you all to what is going to happen in the last trade today. All signs are that the worst is behind us. We've had a terrible 25 sessions selling as far as markets are concerned. Everybody has withdrawn money. It's only DIIs, people like you and me, who's provided them with systematic investment plans. Only they have held the market around 24,200. And we hope to see a better number here. Strong cues coming in from Wall Street. You have perhaps a conclusive election result in the pipeline. Whether it's a boy or a girl, most probably it will be a boy. And let us see how that pans out. But that's good news for risk on trade across the world, whether it's equities, whether it is other asset classes. And for a change, the US 10-year yield is likely to calm down because the uncertainty of the election is now over, and as I have said, there is a conclusive one-sided view result emerging in the pipeline. Who that person will be, I have some idea, but I'd rather refrain from saying. But there is this likelihood that the worst is behind us. Look at the Nifty, 24,213 for you. Yesterday's rally was led by banks, in particular HDFC Bank and State Bank of India. State Bank of India will also report its earnings in the remaining 2 or 3 days. So the risk on trade, ladies and gentlemen, is back after a crushing 2,400 point sell-off on the Nifty, which started on 27th of September at 26,200. We've gone all the way down to 24,800. There is a recovery that happened yesterday, mainly value buying, mainly bottom fishing, more importantly short covering. Today is the weekly expiry of the Bank Nifty. I am requesting the PCR to kindly show the chart of the Bank Nifty, the daily chart. Yesterday's candle of 2% uptick is a major sign that the trend is likely to remain upwards and stronger, because you've seen very strong earnings coming in from Canara Bank, PNB, Bank of Baroda from the PSU side, as also ICICI Bank, Axis Bank and HDFC Bank from the private sector side. Bank Nifty is actually flat as far as the weekly change is concerned, up about 0.3 percentage points at 52,393. I'm talking about futures, but this is a trend that needs to be watched carefully. SBI would be a dramatic stock to watch. Strong moves coming in on ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank playing the anchor sheet as far as Nifty is concerned. What else is important as far as markets go? Well, you have the US Federal Reserve interest rate meeting beginning tonight, which is also the time by which the correct trend or the full trend on US elections will be visible. The results of the US Federal Reserve meeting will be known on Thursday night. We will be reacting to it on Friday morning. Most likely a 25 basis point cut is again in the pipeline, and all the pain that we've seen over the past 25 trading sessions is likely to come to a halt, or perhaps the worst is behind us. Traders, as I've always said, are required to remain cautious, and we will see a good outcome from the US elections that will also impact our markets positively. Good time as any to get a view from Dalal Street. Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, joins us. नमस्कार गौरांग जी, स्वागत है आपका। बताइए, हमारी मित्र मंडली दलाल स्ट्रीट पर क्या सोच रही है? आपको क्या लगता है कि कौन आएगा यूएस इलेक्शंस में विजेता के माफिक, और किस हिसाब से आप बाजार को देख रहे हैं?
धन्यवाद शैल जी, आपको, साक्षी जी को और बीटीटीवी के सभी दर्शकों को हमारा सादर प्रणाम और शुभ प्रभात हमारे तरफ से। आपने अभी बताया कि क्या लड़का पैदा होगा या लड़की पैदा होगी। मेरे ख्याल से लड़का है या लड़की है, हमें ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा। मेरा ये मानना है। और ट्रम्प साहब तो पहले भी राष्ट्रपति रह चुके हैं अमेरिका के, और उनका रवैया और उनका काम करने का ढंग और उनकी सोच और विचारधारा, ये सब हमारे समक्ष है। तो मैं, और अभी जो मतलब मैंने कंप्यूटर खोला ऑफिस में आते ही, और जो दिख रहा था सामने, तो आगे बढ़त तो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप साहब की है। अब देखना है कि स्विंग स्टेट्स में क्या होता है, वहां के नतीजे अभी आना बाकी है। लेकिन एक चीज मैं कहूंगा शैल भाई, चुनाव के पहले किसी भी देश के राजनीतिक नेता जो होते हैं, उनकी बोली, उनका हाव भाव, उनका ढंग अलग होता है। चुनाव होने के बाद और चुनने के बाद, चुनाव जीतने के बाद, उनकी बोली, उनकी विचारधारा, उनका भाव जो है, जो वो पूरा बदल जाता है। तो और ये इतिहास रहा है शैल भाई। बिफोर इलेक्शंस पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स से अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, half of it or maybe less than quarter of it is fulfilled post if they happen to win and come and win the chair. So it remains to be seen. Honestly, I think there is a lot that has been talked about, there has been a lot that has been written about, and I would have given more importance to the election gone by in our country rather than give more weightage to elections in the United States of America. Let us leave it to the wisdom and fine sense of judgment of the United States citizens as for whom they want to see as their president. So it may have its impact on the US market, global market, as and when we come closer to that last minute of the announcement of who's won the presidential race. But then I think we'll come back to basics and we'll talk about data points and earnings and government policies. Having said that, 23,816 I believe was the low, almost about close to between 8 to 10% correction shell buy from 26,277. I believe it was on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, 23,816 or 20, that was the low. So possibly, just possibly shell, my sense is that possibly that bottom is in place. Now it is a matter of a range bound trade and a base building exercise. Q2 numbers have not been very supportive, let's face it. I don't think we have to hide our face anywhere. We have to face it. Remains to be seen in terms of how the market gives the moves. But my sense, if you ask me, Shelbhai, I think it would be prudent if we see a base building exercise, spend some time in terms of making a strong bottom, so that if we happen to go above 24,500 and 24,800, which according to me is the logical headwind, then I think you will see a lot of short covering coming into the system, which may propel us to the much more higher level. But before that, my sense, my brains, my grey cells tell me that it is prudent to see a base building exercise.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear. Very good morning to you, Gaurang. And I also wanted to just get a sense, since a base building exercise is being in place right now and probably hoping for the best, things may actually look up and on a recovery path as well. Looking at what is going to play up in the US, uh, are there any key sectors that you would be more keen on investing in if Mr. Trump comes in? Or are there any key sectors that you would be looking to that will benefit under Ms. Harris? How would you really look at it?
Morning to you, Sakshi. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I know you and Shell want me to give a very clear-cut answer on this, but let me be very honest. I have never given much weightage to the political situation because political situation, Sakshi, can come and go. You can't keep on swinging your investment long-term ideas on which way the political wind is blowing. To be very honest. For me, it is rather relevant that I look at the fundamentals and the growth opportunity and the kind of comments that the management make in terms of the business outlook. Well, if you are going to put a gun on my temple, then I will be forced to say that pharma and IT would be the two. By default, Sakshi, these are the two because they have a large exposure in the US markets. And I think CDMO space, that is contract drug manufacturing organizations who are based in India, and a lot of services are outsourced by foreign counterparts. I think that would be the space that would be very, very interesting because geopolitical situation as well as the kind of environment that we live in. I think it opens up great opportunity for CDMO companies.
Okay. Gauranga, we have no intention to put a gun on your forehead. In fact, we have all intentions to invite you to Delhi. Weather is fantastic, and we'll have a great meal and we will discuss the way forward in November 2025. Now tell us about Swiggy. What is Geojit's view? Is this something that the markets are looking forward to? Yesterday's anchor book was amazing and the issue opens today. What have you advised potential investors and customers at Geojit to do about Swiggy?
Well, so Shail, firstly, I think the opportunity for Zomato was, is, and possibly will be even better. They are doing much better compared to Swiggy. Touch points in terms of Blinkit, GOPs in terms of value orders, both for quick commerce in household delivery or food delivery platform is concerned. Comparatively, Zomato has got a upper hand. Swiggy has its own issues but is trying to come out with the existing problem. To answer your question, what are we advising our clients to do for Swiggy? Well, we have given a subscribe recommendation from a long-term point of view, Shell. I am absolutely not in the position to give you an answer in terms of what the listing gains are going to be. And I will not attempt that also, to be very honest. But my sense is that whatever the company is trying to do in terms of reviving its business and trying to come out in terms of break-even, that's going to open up a lot of opportunity. And I think that's where you will see possibly investors with maybe 1.5, 2 year plus kind of time horizon wanting to come and get into this. So my sense is that it will possibly see a very decent response in terms of subscription. I have no idea about the oversubscription percentage, how much it is going to be, but I think it's going to be very, very healthy. And most importantly, I think this week there are quite a few IPOs of big ticket size which are going to hit the street. That's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Okay. Well, we will be looking at the IPO space also closely. Let's look at a few earnings and take your view right there. On Titan, I wanted a view from you post the earnings. We've definitely seen the impact of custom duty that's weighed negatively on the margins here. But looking at how gold prices have performed and probably the sales have gone through, going forward from here, how are you really looking at Titan's journey? And at 3230 where it is currently placed at, what would you advise?
4,000 plus could be the target, Sakshi. We've been maintaining a positive view. See, custom duty cut was not the only problem that Titan company had to face. Most of the jewelry manufacturing companies had to face it. But now that is the end. The fact of the matter is, before the budget and the announcement of 6% duty cut by the Honorable Finance Minister Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji on gold, silver, and so and so forth for platinum. From 74, we saw the prices correct to 68,000, and currently we're at 78,000. So all that is adjusted. I don't think that's going to make a large material difference, honestly, Sakshi. And more importantly, what I was reading a report yesterday, this wedding season is going to create a new record, Sakshi. Record number of weddings across India, and the ticket size of that all those weddings have also made a new all-time high in terms of spending for weddings. That's also hit a new all-time high, and by default, I think that's going to have its traction and attraction towards the gems and jewelry segment also. So Titan company happens to be on our buy radar. I think this reward is extremely favorable if you have a long-term time horizon.
You know, Gaurang, if parents were a bit more sensible than emotional, they would gift Titan shares to their daughter or daughter-in-law instead of gold, or maybe at least go for a 50-50 breakup. I'm sure this kind of sanity is now coming into the Indian psyche, as is available from the SIP numbers, but yes, the trend will change for the positive. Now, tell us, is this a time to dip your toe into equities at this point of time, or are you still holding back after a 10 percentage point correction on the Nifty alone? If yes, then what do we buy?
See, Shail, if you're going to hold back, you are going to be holding back. I don't think you will ever gather courage to come and step into the market. So take the plunge, my friend. I mean, what are you waiting for? You were in love with Nifty and Sensex at 26,000, 26,200. Suddenly, how come you have decided to divorce from Sensex and Nifty? Life is much better going forward from here on. And I think it was a healthy correction. It was the need of the hour, Shell, because a lot of opinion was on one side. And you always know that whenever there are a large part of opinions which go on the on one side, I tend to prefer in the opposition. You know, I beg to differ. So I think this 10% correction is good enough. Whether the bottom is in place, maybe there might be another 2 to 3 to 4% correction. Who knows? But instead of timing and trying to find that bottom, I think you should at least go and put 25, 30, 40%. If you ask me, I would go more than 50%, given the kind of nature and the experience and the risk-taking capability that one has to take when you take that kind of decision. So go and take a plunge at least 25%. And then if you get a dip, go on adding it. But don't wait for that bottom to be in place, because you're going to lose out over there.
Okay. 30 seconds, I think, before the pre-open rates come in. Banking space that took the mantle in their hands yesterday. I wanted to get a sense from you, Gaurang, over there. How are you really looking at the entire banking space, and where would you find confidence to continue to start accumulating at this stage?
I think my first choice, if you ask me honestly, is going to be public sector banks. This has happened after this has happened after a long time. And I'm glad that it has happened, you know, Sakshi, because these were beaten down left, right, and center just before the correction happened. Some foreign Gora came and said that you need to exit from public sector companies, banks especially. And we saw the correction even before the market saw the correction. Then, unfortunately, you saw the market correct. So these also corrected. And then, surprisingly, for my better surprise, we had good numbers.
Yeah.
State Bank of India, maybe, you know, Bank of Baroda. I don't know, State Bank of India is yet to come, I beg your pardon. But Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, PNB, Bank of India, to name a few, did deliver better set of numbers. So if you ask me, first, it would be State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Canara Bank, Bank of India, PNB and Indian Bank. These are some 5-6 names. Then I would possibly shift towards private sector banks, wherein in terms of priority, ICICI, Axis, HDFC, and then going down to two names which did not deliver Kotak and IndusInd Bank. Possibly there is a little bit of more pain over there in these two names, but I think long term looks quite positive in terms of recovery in earnings.
चल पड़ी है एक लहर गांव गांव और शहर शहर. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome bulls back on Dalal Street. It's a 146 point uptick on the Nifty, 24,355 for you, and it's a wonderful sea of green. Let me start with the big boy, HDFC Bank, 5% higher. This will settle down, but let me enjoy the price till it is there, 1845. What else is buzzing in strength? TCS, 2 percentage points higher, 4050. Infosys, 1.4 percentage points higher, 1779. Perhaps and just perhaps, after this US election is called positively and there is no trouble in deciding who the winner is, it's most likely that Fortune 500 companies will again start to re-spend on IT, and the biggest beneficiaries most likely are domestic IT companies which are extremely overseas focused. ICICI Bank is flat, 1296. The reason why I say it's flat is it mirrored the 5 percentage point fall on HDFC Bank in the opposite direction, and therefore it becoming positive will add more to the Nifty. Now up 141. Let's just take a detour into the pharma space because pharma is also US centric. Are there any major winners in pharma? Yes. Well, Mankind isn't an exporter in that sense, but still 5% higher. You have Natco Pharma, 0.7% higher. Let's look at the big boys. Dr Reddy's 0.65% higher. This is post earnings where margins have contracted, so it's positive. Lupin 0.7% higher. Sun Pharma 0.4% higher. Okay, let's shift focus to NSE 500 and look at the winners. Okay, Reliance is a third of a percent higher, 1310. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Reliance is available at a January 2024 low. Keep this in mind. Masgaon, strong earnings, profit up 70%, stock up 1.2%. IRFC 1.35% higher. I'm talking about all high beta counters where we see strength coming back. Federal Bank 1% higher. IRCTC in the green. So this is looking good. 129 up 24,340. Let's get back to our friend Gaurang. Gaurang, your top pick in the pharma space. What looks good? This has been the cornerstone of safety in the last 25 sessions also. The only index apart from metals, the only index which is up on a 22-day rolling period. What looks good in pharma?
Well, if I have to put one name in front, then it's going to be Cipla. I think the company delivered a decent set of numbers, and it has got a very strong pipeline in terms of launches, and the commentary from the management is also extremely, very, very strong. And it is one of those companies in this 10% correction that we are talking about, Shail. This is one company which has not really corrected much and has withstood the tornado of sell side figures from the FIs. At 1600 levels, I think it's a good investment idea.
Cipla is going to be looked at as positively within the pharma pack. Let's also welcome Osho Krishan now. He's joining in, Senior Research Analyst, Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One. Good morning and welcome to you, Osho. Good to have you with us. Tell us, how are you really looking at these pre-opening trades that are further indicating recovery from yesterday's close as well? And do you think there'll be another good day on the D Street today?
Very good morning, Sakshi, Shail and Gaurang sir. Firstly, thank you for having me at the show. Now, as you have mentioned, that last day was a very decent day for the bulls because the market have seen a kind of a recovery from the lower phase, but still I'm not very much optimistic in the market because until Nifty crosses or closes above the zone of 24,400, then only we can see some momentum coming back in the market. For now, one should stay cautious in the market. 24,400 should be the resistance, and on the lower end, I am expecting 24,000. Followed by 23,900 to act as a support for our market. So if there will be any kind of dip, that should be auguring very well for the intraday buyers. And on the higher end, one should stay light on the positions, because only one should become aggressive once we breach the zone of 24,400 on Nifty. But again, there can be stock specific action. Last day we have seen banking to outperform. So major of the banking companies and the metal stocks have seen very drastic upsurge. So I'm expecting that stock specific action should be there. But for benchmark index, one should remain cautious for the time being.
Okay.
नमस्कार ओशो जी, स्वागत है आपका. You've talked about strength in the banking space. One stock in the PSU segment and one stock in the private banking segment which look great to you on charts.
See, overall, HDFC Bank is first bank which is looking very positive to me. Yesterday, it has given a very strong breakout, and it has also formed a very strong bullish pattern on the daily time frame, a bullish engulfing pattern on the consolidation time frame of the daily chart. So I expect that from here onwards there can be a gradual move in HDFC Bank, and even ICICI Bank is also looking very positive to me. From the private sector banks, from public sector, SBI, but SBI has already given a very drastic up movement in the last trading session. So I would rather wait for some kind of dip or some kind of cool off in this counter towards the zone of 835, 840 should be the zone where one should try to accumulate SBI. So this is also very positive for the timing, and I expect majority of the heavyweight from the PSU and the private space should outperform in today's market also.
Okay, got that. Bringing in Gaurang back into the conversation. Gaurang, another space that really has got into the limelight as of yesterday and last 2 days is metals pack, the way it has started to rally. How are you really looking at the momentum build up here? Because this again is a space which is very, very volatile, has been in the past, and it's the most difficult to understand for an average retail investor as to how should one be really approaching the metal space. What is the sense that you're getting at this point in time?
So Sakshi, one easy way to understand the metals pack is don't read too much into what the China is doing in terms of their stimulus packages, etc., etc. I think 2-3 days back again,
Yes.
uh, I think this week itself there is some meeting that is going to be happening in China to oversee what was done about 2-3 weeks back in terms of stimulus and whether it needs another boost of a steroid in terms of liquidity. So if you minus that noise that is coming from China for the metals pack, it will be very easy to focus and understand what metals are doing. And if you ask me, I think what we at Geojit see is that there is a slow and steady pickup in terms of domestic consumption. I think possibly next year from a post budget, that is 1st Feb onwards, infrastructure activity is going to pick up very, very strong from center as well as from state level. Real estate sector, which was doing well, has gone into a little bit of hibernation, but I think that's only that's only momentarily. If you ask me, I think activity is going to pick up for the real estate sector. And metals and cement are the two core components that go into creating a durable infrastructure. Without those two commodities, you are not being able to do anything in terms of durable infrastructure. So Tata Steel, Hindalco, JSW Steel, JSPL, Vedanta, Hindustan Zinc, and NMDC. These are some 6-7 names in the entire metals universe, which we are quite positive as far as the fundamentals are concerned. And I think if you decide eventually to invest in metals pack, then you need to have at least 1.5, 2 year kind of time horizon, because like I said, global news flows and news flows from China always has its impact on the metals pack, either on the positive side or the negative side, depending on
any outliers.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Gaurang, just one point. You did mention Vedanta as well, right?
Gaurang, this was for you.
Sorry.
Okay, I guess there is. Shail, are you getting our
Gaurang,
audio?
can you hear me?
Yeah, Shail, I can hear you. Sorry, can you please repeat your question?
Okay, got it. Gaurang, I think there was some connection loss, I think, with Shell, but I wanted to just take up that metal point forward. You were talking about Vedanta as well, and today the Indian government is now looking to sell that 2.5% of Hindustan Zinc's equity through offer for sale as well. So that will again bring back the focus on both Hindustan Zinc and Vedanta. How should one be really looking at these two particular stocks in light of the OFS going through 7% lower for Hindustan Zinc in the pre-open trade right now?
So pricing and valuation may derive short-term moves, Sakshi, on Hindustan Zinc and possibly on Vedanta because of the news flow that we are having. I rather look at it from a longer durable period. And if I have that in mind, then I think, like I mentioned, Vedanta and Hindustan Zinc, both features on our fundamental universe. And more so, Sakshi, Vedanta has now become a diversified natural resource company with merger of Kane into it. So they have got crude oil also on the balance sheet. And of course, they have got other natural resources in terms of diversified portfolio that they have. But like you said, the news flow may have an impact depending upon which way the valuation is going. But we remain positive on both.
Okay. Well, the markets have settled. Let me just quickly give you a picture right there, viewers. 24,308 is where the pre-opening trades have settled on the Nifty. All the sectors barring half odd % of a loss on consumer durables, they all look to be starting up positive. IT is the space that we will focus on. 0.8% higher seems to be the top driver today in the pre-open trade at least. BPCL, Hindalco remain the top movers on the Nifty along with Tata Consultancy Services, Tech Mahindra and even Trent that's coming in positive zone as well. Apart from this, Shriram Finance, Hero Motor, Apollo Hospitals are some of the other stocks that are inching higher. IT, Realty, Oil and Gas, PSU banks, and even the mid and the small caps are showing some kind of a strength right now. Let's get in a word from you, Gaurang, as far as IT sector is concerned particularly. You did mention the US elections and the focus on IT sector, but how are you really reading the sentiments versus large caps and mid caps here, and where would your focus be?
So Sakshi, I think numbers were possibly a shade better in some mid cap IT companies.
Yeah.
TCS did relatively better. Infosys also did not disappoint. So give you a, to put a perspective in place, I think it is what our belief was 2 years back when the entire market was negative on the IT pack is now translating into positivity, and our confidence has only got reinforced in terms of the commentary that the managements have given for the IT sector business outlook. TCS, Infosys, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, preferable destination amongst the large cap universe. L&T Technologies, Coforge Persistent Systems, KPIT Tech, Tata LXI, LTI Mindtree, along with, of course, Tata Technologies, on which we had an IPO note subscribed from long-term point of view. These are the names in these mid-stroke small IT universe. And my sense is that, as we go through a lot of challenging times with respect to AI, Gen AI, with respect to, the kind of cyber attacks, criminal cyber activities are concerned, I think going into the future, we are definitely going to be more dependent on these IT companies for securing and safeguarding our IT platform and environment.
9:14, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for the market to open. We have a 82 point uptick on the Nifty. The Bank Nifty on its weekly expiry today opens 130 points higher, and you have a blowout happening on the Nifty IT index, 321 points higher, 40,786. We'll start with the good news, ladies and gentlemen. Infosys up 1%. Remember, this is a direct play on the US market, and it's now up 19 rupees, 1775. What is TCS doing? Equally strong, 24 rupees higher, almost now at 4,000. Let's look at the banks. HDFC Bank 7 rupees higher. This is the top index heavyweight. Let's look at ICICI Bank 4 rupees higher, 1300. Let's look at what SBI is doing. 2 rupees 75 higher, 851. This is looking really good for the Nifty and the Bank Nifty in sync with each other. What else is in the green? Let's look at Reliance 1 rupee 40 higher. This is good. 1307 as far as prices are concerned. What's slipping? It's Hindustan Unilever and ITC. It doesn't matter for that. Okay, Titan. This is the earnings boy. A negative reaction, 1.3% lower, 3185. What is also looking good? Well, selling pressure on Hindustan Zinc. The earnings not liked by the market. 7% lower, 520. BSC in strength, a percentage point higher. Gas Authority, very strong reward coming in post second quarter earnings, 6 percentage points higher, 208. Let's look at the FNO space and see how traders and institutions are positioning themselves. Okay, Canfin Homes 2.5% higher, 887. It's IT all the way. You have Oracle Financial Services 2.6% higher, Emphasis up 2 percentage points. Strong move coming on the L&T software twins, L&T Technology Services 1.7% higher and 1.5% higher on L&T Mindtree. HCL Tech 1.5% higher. All these, ladies and gentlemen, are US centric companies. They get 90% of their revenue from the US markets, where we see at least a conclusive victory coming in for presidential candidate Trump. That is what the New York Times is saying. 86% chance that Mr. Donald Trump will be the new 46th president of the United States. So this is looking good so far. Let us see how it pans out. But 24,242 on the Nifty. Coming to you, Osho, anything that you would want to do on the charts in the first 15-20 minutes of trade?
There are two counters which are in my radar. The first one is Bharat Forge. Bharat Forge yesterday has seen a very drastic up movement on the back of volumes, and today also it is witnessing approximately 0.8% higher level. So I am expecting that from here onwards there can be a trend reversal in this counter. One can definitely look for this counter as it has given a sloping trend line breakout and also have resurged from the 200-day simple moving average. So I'm expecting 1540, 1550 to be the target for Bharat Forge in near term period, maybe 1 or 2 trading sessions. While on the lower end, 1422 is a very strong support zone. So for short term traders, 1422 can be seen as a stop loss. And for short term, 1550 should be the target that one can expect in Bharat Forge.
Okay, got it. Let's look at the other movers in trade right now. Apollo Hospitals is inching up in the Nifty right now, 1.5% higher. HCL Tech, Dr Reddy's is up by about 1%. BEL is also about 1% higher. ICICI Bank is also inching up as well. Those are the top 5 movers on the Nifty. It's the real estate pack that's now looking positive, 1.4% higher for the index right now. Prestige Estates is the one that's taking it away, 3.7% higher, 2% up for DLF, Brigade, Macrotech Developers and even Godrej are all up by 1% each. Osho, anything within the real estate pack that you'd like to carry on the momentum in?
Overall, reality is looking very positive. Yesterday also it has given a very strong bullish engulfing pattern, and today also it is showcasing some strength at the higher level. So I expect that from here onwards, overall reality can see some kind of good move in the coming period. Approximately 1980, 1990 was the zone where we have seen a very strong volume traction in last trading session, and today we are witnessing more over 2000 zone. So I expect that in the short term, the counter can move towards the zone of 2060, 2070 on a very short term perspective, while on the lower end, 1970 and 1980 is a very strong support zone for this counter. So overall reality can be seen for short term traders to as a buy recommendation.
Okay, let's dip into the broader market and see how structurally it's placed. Advanced decline ratio, this is the most critical point. 1694 shares are in the green versus 450 that are in the red. Sakshi and I tracked 19 indices for you. 18 are in the green. The FMCG index is in the red, it doesn't matter. Nifty Realty Index 1.4% higher. That's the reason why Oberoi Realty is coming up in Osho's charts. IT Index 0.7% higher, 320 points up. The PSU Banking Index 0.5% higher. Out of 12, 11 are in the green within the index. Okay, this is looking good. What is the mid cap and the small cap index doing? Mid cap is up 0.5%, small cap is up 0.4%, and the advanced decline is very strong. In the mid cap 100 index, 84 stocks are in the green. In the small cap index, 70 stocks are in the green. So the underlying theme is doing pretty good as far as prices are concerned. Let's look at what are the top stock gainers in F&O. Okay, stock futures, GAIL 5% higher, very strong set of earnings coming in 206. Dixon Technologies gets its act together, 3.2% higher. Remember, the earnings were a blowout, but the stock collapsed 3,000 rupees on that particular day. DLF making the rounds on the green side, 1.7% higher. Polycab, again an quasi real estate play, 2 percentage points higher. And it's IT and IT all the way. Midcap Persistent Systems 1.75% higher. Oracle Financial Services 1.8% higher. L&T, Mindtree, HCL Technologies, Emphasis, Coforge, all in the green. Actually, Gaurang, what has happened is Indian IT has called the election in favor of Mr. Trump. We are waiting for US pollsters and US channels to sort of catch up with us, but it seems that India has decided who has won in the US.
Well, I will never challenge the wisdom of the market, Shail. You know that. I mean, whenever markets tell you something, I think you have to hold your hands and accept it with humbleness, with all humbleness, without challenging the wisdom of the market. And if it is going to be Donald Trump,
yes,
then so be it. But I would also still say that yes, these early signs are tailwind positive for Mr. Donald Trump. But let's wait till the outcome is signed, sealed, and delivered.
Let's wait. Absolutely.
Okay, markets are actually turning volatile now on the Nifty. It's absolutely flat, 24,222. Metals have actually slipped and given up a lot of gains of yesterday, 1% lower for the metals. Consumer durables is down by 0.5%, and the FMCG is flat with a negative bias as well. So it could swing both ways, Shail. We don't know what is coming. Actually, going forward, the markets are also seeming to be on the edge right now. But I think what is comfortably higher is Waaree Energy, something that we've been tracking, and it's again up about 7% at 3,685 right now. Okay, Gaurang, how are you looking at this stupendous outperformance of Waaree Energies? It's actually been a hide and seek kind of a situation. So when for those who had the allotment, they did not know when should they get out. For those who actually wanted an entry, they've missed the chance in the last few days as well. How are you really looking at it?
Well, so in a matter of what, about 20 odd days since it got listed, correct me if I'm wrong, Sakshi, the price band was 1427 to 1503. At 1503, we had given a subscribed on Waaree Energies, and the stock has very happily and very satisfactorily rewarded all those who got the shares during the IPO or when they bought it post the listing, because post listing, I think it did slip down to some lower levels, and then the story is in front of us. 3648, your investment is more than doubled in just 20 odd days. Well, if you are a long-term investor, my humble request be that don't be in a hurry to book out. There are much better times and there are much better growth stories that lies ahead of Waaree Energies. And we had given a subscribe recommendation from a long-term point of view for the IPO of Waaree Energies.
Right. And it's been an outstanding outperformer. Just 1.5 years ago, Sakshi, in the unlisted space, Waaree Energy placed its stock at 200 rupees. And those people are now sitting on a 15x gain. Some of them are holding on because there is a lock-in for 6 months after the listing. So they're sitting on a pretty penny. Already 750 crores worth of Waaree has been traded, 5 percentage points higher, 36.43. The earnings that came in yesterday were stunning from this counter. In fact, a lot of IPO stocks are doing pretty well. Remember Premier Energies? It's now back into fashion. Now 12.22, 4.5% higher. And yes, this is a record high on Premier Energies as well. It's taken about 25 trading sessions for it to again reclaim its pole position. So new high on Premier Energies. And day before yesterday's newly listed baby, Afcon's infrastructure is now changing a digit, 506, 2.5% higher. Let's look at strong gains that are coming into other parts of the market. LG Rubber, this is not a stock that we discuss often, but it's the top gainer on NSE, now up 11% at 137 rupees. Gas Authority we've discussed. KNS Technologies 5% higher on very strong volumes, almost 92 crores traded at 55.74. And what are the other names that I want to take on air? No, I'll avoid all of them. This is how it is, ladies and gentlemen. So top traded counters has Dr Reddy's in the green. Zomato is making a comeback. Remember, Swiggy opens today, 2 percentage points higher. Is the correction Osho in Zomato over? We have seen the stock correcting from 300 rupee levels to about 240, 235 as well. What are the charts telling you?
See, overall for Zomato, 240 odd levels has seen a very strong breakout in the month of August, July end and August first day. And after that, the counter have again retested the same zone in approximately the first week of September, and again is hovering around the same zone of 240-45 in the last 5 trading sessions. So historically, 240-235 zone has provided very strong cushioning to this counter. Also, the technical parameters have seen a decent correction from the higher levels and have plunged towards the oversold territory. So I expect that from here onwards, if the market gives a very strong movement or gives a respite from the sell-off, then we can see a decent up movement in Zomato from here on. But again, on the technical front, we need to wait because still it is having a very sloping, it is inside the sloping trend line. So the breakout will happen only once it surpasses the zone of 254 on the daily time frame. So I expect above 254, the counter can see some strong momentum in the coming period. And again, because of the sentiments associated with the IPO opening of Swiggy, yes, we can see some kind of momentum in the coming period. But technically, I will be waiting for 254 to get broken.
Okay, so that's as far as Zomato is concerned. It's been really long, Gaurang, since we've discussed the auto space with you and your passion for bikes, as is of Shail's as well. Royal Enfield is now entering the EV space. We do know that there's a new e-bike that's getting launched there. How are you really looking at this e-foray of Eicher Motors, Maruti with e-Vitara, the entire focus from M&M as well? Slew of new EVs, first-time EVs coming in from a whole host of these marquee players. And where would you be really keeping your focus in terms of as a consumer and as a investor?
Sakshi, the mind and heart is absolutely tilted towards Royal Enfield RE Bullet. Though for me, my old love was 1973 original Czechoslovakian engine bike called Java,
Okay.
which I had to part with some time back with a very heavy heart, let me say this. But I am absolutely amazed with the kind of futuristic thought process, especially post yesterday's the EV launch by Eicher Motors. Uh, I mean, I'm totally, I'm swept off my feet, let me say this. And I think the core capability and competency and ability to deliver on a platform which is so very, very new with a premium segment bike augurs extremely, extremely well. It's only going to be a test in terms of the performance on the road and the kind of capabilities the bike has to deliver to you. And two-wheelers have always been very close to my heart, and they will always be. So, in terms of preference, well, I think Royal Enfield, Eicher Motors because of Royal Enfield motorcycles, TVS Motors, Bajaj Auto, and Hero MotoCorp. Order of preference, very lately, Ola Electric, the IPO, and then the history after that. Don't want to go into it. And in terms of passenger vehicles, M&M, Tata Motors, Maruti. Uh, I hope there is going to be a lot of demand traction as we go forward into the future for two-wheeler EVs.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there is this huge probability that the markets have already started to celebrate an eventual clear direction that is coming in from the vote count that is happening in the US. A very strong burst of gains coming in on Nifty, 116 points higher. Nifty Bank is on its weekly expiry day up 170 points, and it's the IT index that is clearly telling us that you have something of a winner in the US elections. 516 points higher, 40,932 for you. Coming to you, Osho, anything that looks good on the charts on the IT space that was beaten down and is now getting purchased into?
See, from IT space, yes, majority of the counters are looking very positive, but the first thing that has catch my observation is HCL Tech. HCL Tech was hovering near the 50-day exponential moving average, and in today's session, we have witnessed a very strong upsurge movement in this counter, now hovering near the zone of 21-day exponential moving average. So I expect that from here onwards, there can be a decent up movement that can be seen in this counter. Approximately 1860 is the zone where one can eye for the target in the short term period. But just for the day, as the counter has already surged approximately 2%, so better to wait for some kind of cool off maybe by the second half. If it comes, 1790 or 1800 should be the zone where one should try to accumulate this counter, and higher target remains 1860 to 1865.
Okay. Got that. Well, Osho, how are you really looking at these two EMS plays right now? Both are very strong. Dixon Tech is among the top movers in the F&O space, and Keynes Tech is also about 6% higher in trade. Are you looking at tapping this fresh move?
See, overall for Dixon is always in the cycle of higher highs, higher lows. Recently, it was in a consolidation. Today, we are witnessing a very strong upsurge, approximately 5%. But on the higher end, the target or the resistance is near about the zone of 15,500 or 15,400 approximately. So once it breaches the zone, then we can see a continuation of the trend on the higher end. But overall, the structure is very positive, and this counter is for more for investment perspective rather than trading from a trading point of view. So I expect that majority of the investors should stay intact in this counter for a higher target once it breaches the zone of 15,400, 500 odd levels on a closing basis. So this counter is looking very positive on the overall time frame. And secondly, for Keynes, yes, this counter is also at a verge of breakout. So I would rather wait for the zone of 5,800 to get breached. Once it breaches the zone of 5,800, then we can see a continuation of higher highs in the coming period also. So 5,800 is a crucial zone, and it is also a counter for investment purpose, not for very strong trading or intraday move. Today we have seen a drastic move of 6%, but on average, this counter does not have that much of liquidity or that much of variation. But for investment, yes, definitely one should keep holding their position in this counter. The time it breaches 5800, then we can see another 400 point of rally in this counter.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, 9:35. The markets are in a strong mood today. We've seen a lot of selling pressure being absorbed. There seems to be a clear consensus emerging from US elections, and that is getting reflected positively, at least on the markets as well. Remember, we have the weekly expiry of the Nifty bank today, and shorts are most likely to be covered there, as also the weekly expiry for the Nifty tomorrow. So a lot of momentum on the long side is getting built up. 24,300 is back with the bulls as far as Nifty is concerned. Nifty bank a bit of a profit booking here, but it's the IT sector, the US focused IT sector, which is clearly heading into momentum, simply because the election results will be conclusive. That means that US companies will start spending, and spending is critically needed for IT companies. The US Indian IT index is up 480 points now, 40,906. Amongst the top gainers that you see in the markets are the likes of L&T Mindtree. You have a strong move coming on L&T Technology Services, Oracle Financial Services. All of them are now in the top gaining list. Sakshi.
And Trent is moving to the top spot on the Nifty right now, 2.2% higher right now. Trent 7117 right now on this one. Gaurang, this has been one of the best stories of the previous Samvat. Will it continue to be the best story of Samvat 2081 as well on Trent? You know, I was speaking to someone and a fund manager, and that fund manager's biggest regret of Samvat 2080 was having missed the opportunity on Trent. Do you think Trent has in it to continue to give that edge to all the fund managers in the new Samvat?
You know, one thing that I've learned from the stock market, Sakshi, is that never have regrets in stock market. Because what you never have, you never lose, Sakshi. So there is no point crying over that. But at the same time, I think you should possibly strive to gather courage and try to identify investment opportunities. I think that's how you succeed in stock market. Well, for the company, I won't go into specific comments on buy, sell, and hold on Trend because we don't have coverage, but I've been tracking this one for a pretty long period of time. And in peer competition, we have coverage on Shopper Stop. If I have to compare retail offline companies like Soft Trend and Shopper Stop. For Trend, I think what has been the strongest tailwind is the development as far as Tata Group flagship company Tata Sons is concerned, and the news flows with respect to listing of that particular company, etc., etc., etc. And in terms of business-wise, if you ask me, I think Trent has done well in terms of changing its business strategy and moving on to a relatively more consumer-friendly, pocket-friendly garments to offer, especially with the kind of offering. I happened to step into one of the Trent outlets, and I was quite amazingly pleased with the change that I saw, Sakshi. So, and more importantly, what I have seen is that from online to offline, that's what is happening, and possibly you will have more positivities in terms of footfalls, etc.
Guys, we need to focus back on the IT index. This is now a clear indication that at least what the Indian markets are thinking of US electoral results. Now 700 points higher on the IT index, 41,110. Will this be a day when the IT index will hit a 4-digit mark in terms of gains? Only time will tell, but all signs are there. Ladies and gentlemen, look at what TCS is doing. A very strong show. Now it has reclaimed the 4,000 rupee mark as far as prices are concerned. TCS at the moment is quoting 48 rupees higher. Infosys is contributing 35 points, up 2 percentage points. And if you look at the contributions that are coming from the IT space within the Nifty, It's clearly Infosys 35 points, TCS 13 points, and of course overall the Nifty is now accelerating, ladies and gentlemen, across the board. A very strong show in the IT space. E-Clerks, HCL Tech, all of them are now pointing to increased spending coming in from the US geography. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Absolutely, it's IT which is taking it away, and I think it's already penciling in what we were discussing, a Donald Trump victory coming into fore as well. And Gaurang, you were the first one to talk about two sectors that could be benefiting if Donald Trump comes back to the stage, and one is IT and the other one is Pharma. What is this the right time to start tapping on the IT sector right now? If somebody has not lapped onto this story over the last 6 months when the stocks were still low, is this the right time that one jumps on the wagon?
So actually, if actually the results, the outcome, the final outcome of the result of this presidential race is what the screening is telling us, then definitely Pharma and IT would be in the spotlight. Whether you should start, well, my sense, Sakshi, is that you should do it sooner rather than later, to be very honest. And the growth opportunity is extremely strong as far as both Pharma and IT is concerned. IT with respect to the local demand and the global demand supporting, and with Pharma the kind of outsourcing that is going to happen. And remind you, for Pharma, Indian Pharma companies, there has been a positive tailwind for a pretty long period of time. And the best part is that no other country had the kind of capability and capacity in place the way India has. So in both sectors, my sense is, and of course the recovery as far as the domestic market and earnings is concerned. So they are positive for both sectors.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 750 points high on the Nifty IT index, 41,183, and the contributions that are coming in from Infosys are the most critical. Coming to you, Osho, your choice for the long side. What looks good on the charts, Infosys or TCS, or any other stock in the IT space that you would like to go on long?
See, from IT space, we have recommended in our Diwali report TCS. So I'll be staying with the same thing, that TCS looks very promising to me, because this counter have seen a very decent correction from the higher levels. But on the technical front, we have seen a very decent retracements also. And from here onwards, all the technical parameters are at a oversold terrain. So from here, if there will be any kind of revival above the zone of 4,060, 4,070 odd levels, we can see a very strong reversal kind of a pattern in TCS. So I'm expecting that TCS has the potential to again surge towards the zone of 4,300 on a very short term perspective, followed by obviously 4,500 from longer period. But overall, this counter looks very positive to me. The overall technical parameters are also indicating initial hint of a turnaround, and historically also 200-day SMA has provided very strong support to this counter. So looking at the historical data and the technical parameters, I expect TCS can see a very decent up movement in short term and as well as medium term time frame.
Okay, got it. And within the pharma pack, you did talk about Cipla, Gaurang. Do you think one should also be really looking at the hospitals and the diagnostic spaces as well? Are they also in fine trade?
Sakshi, I believe that all three are interconnected. And I don't think you should look at all three in isolation. Pharma, healthcare, that is hospitals, and diagnostics. All three are very closely interrelated. So for me, if you ask me what is my pharma universe, then my pharma universe has three planets. Pharma, healthcare, that is hospitals, and diagnostics. So in healthcare, we like Apollo Hospital, Narayan Rudalaya, and Fortis Healthcare. In diagnostics, we have coverage on Dr. Lal Path Labs.
Let's stick to IT, ladies and gentlemen. This is where the action is. As I speak, we've added 150 points to the index alone. Now, almost 2.1% higher, 850 points. Most likely, you'll see a 4-digit uptick on the Nifty IT index, 41,292 for you. And this is coming mainly because of Infosys that has contributed 352 points, TCS 174, HCL Tech 122, and of course persistent 46. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what the verdict is coming in from Dalal Street about US elections, that Indian IT is likely to be the biggest beneficiary of a clear-cut answer that the US public has given by their voting. A strong move, Sakshi. Now 900 points on the IT index, 41,320. A quick view on HCL Tech as well, Osho. Where do you see it headed?
See, HCL Tech, I already have said that this counter has seen a good movement from after consolidation from the 50-day exponential moving average, and now it is above the 21-day EMA also. So I expect that there can be a continuation to the uptrend till the zone of 1860, 1870 odd levels. So that is where one should definitely see or one should keep an eye on for profit booking, because the time if we see a breakout above 1870, then only we can see a further upside movement of nearly 50 odd points on short term perspective. All these targets are for short term traders only. Overall, the structure is very positive. This counter has been maintaining its high stature instead of all other counters from the IT space has been into some kind of corrective phase. So HCL Tech has maintained its higher structure and is still hovering around its 52-week high. So I expect that there can be a continuation of a further trend once it breaches the zone of 1870 on a decisive manner, that is on a closing basis. Then only we can see a further move. But for the day, I expect 1800 to be a 1790 to be seen as a support, and 1850 to 60 as a target for intraday traders.
Okay, well, Gaurang, we will thank you for being with us on the show today and for sharing your views from US elections to domestic markets, both on Business Today and on India Today as well. Thank you so much for being with us. Always a pleasure to host you too. Let's get back to discussion with Osho now. Last 10-12 minutes remaining on the morning edition. It's looking good as of now. 24,375, 161 points higher in trade, Osho. And all across the board, it's the IT for sure, which is now 2.4% higher, and that's driving the show today. Realty index is looking good, 1.6% up in trade. The Nifty next 50 is also up by about 1.5% higher in trade. Oil and gas and even the mid and the small caps are doing well. Let's discuss this one then. Within the mid caps, let's look at the key winners at this point in time. You have Dixon, you have Supreme Industries, that's up 5.5%. MRPL is up by about 4%. RVNL, Oracle Financial Services, Polycab, BSE, Persistent, Mazagon Dock is again up after yesterday's strong move on the earnings. So all of these stocks are actually pulling up higher in trade within the mid-cap basket. And even within the small cap space, the index is up by 1% now. Both the mid and the small caps are up over 1% again. So you have Chennai Petro, that's also recovering sharply since yesterday. It's been up 3.5% higher. CDSL is also up in trade. Brigade Enterprises, Data Patterns, MGL, NBCC, a whole host of sectors contributing to the gains right now, be it railways, be it defense spaces, be it the capital markets related stocks, or be it the refinery majors as well. A lot of pockets that are throwing up a lot of positive moves. Osho, within the mid and the small caps, any two stocks that catch your attention?
Firstly, a CDSL. CDSL has been into a very strong phase as of now, and again in today's session also it has also seen a higher movement of approximately 3% now. So I expect that there can be a continuation to this counter as it is about to give a fresh breakout around the zone of 1600. So if there will be any closer above 1600, then we can see near about 80 to 90 point of rally in this counter. So I am expecting that from here onwards one can definitely uh, play the movement in this counter for a higher targets of approximately 1700 for short-term traders. Overall, structure is very positive and it is maintaining the cycle of higher highs. The other counter which is looking good to me is Masdaq. Masdaq have seen a strong consolidation in the recent period, and again in last two trading sessions there has been strong traction in terms of volume. Today also the counter have emerge above the 20-day exponential moving average, and yesterday we have seen a very strong volume coming in this counter. So I expect that there can be a strong continuation of the higher trend in this counter towards the zone of 4480, 4500 odd levels for short-term perspective, and the time it breaches the zone of 4500, then we can see a further continuation or a trend reversal that can be seen in this counter. So both these CDSL and Nasdaq are looking very positive on the technical chart. and I expect that the continuation should be there on the bullish front.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 4-digit gain on the Nifty IT index. As I have been telling you for the last 15 minutes, this is the clearest indication as to what the Indian economy is thinking in terms of what the US elections can come up with. 41,425, up 2.5% or 1,001 points. That is how the IT index is reacting. And this is a purely US play in India. 90% of Indian software services exports go to the US markets, and you have a clear-cut direction which what Dalal Street is telling you in terms of what it thinks will be the biggest beneficiary. Now this is a start of a new trend. Once an index breaks out of a falling pattern with a 2 percentage point uptick, remember the change of guard has happened. It will now be IT and the banking space which will lead the Nifty forward. Yesterday there was a 2 percentage point uptick, nearly 2 percentage point uptick on the Nifty bank. It is still up 200 points. Today the gains have been led by IT, and we will again focus on Infosys, on TCS, on the old world charts of HCL Tech, Wipro and Tech Mahindra in the Nifty space, as also persistent emphasis Coforge and Oracle Financial Services in the mid-cap IT space. There is a clear indication coming to all analysts and to all fund managers as to what the market is thinking in terms of the outlook of the US elections. Sakshi.
Absolutely. IT and ID all the way. Now up to 2.5% at this point in time, led by Infosys, HCL Tech, TCS as among the top movers on the Nifty right here. Let's look at even some other pockets that are looking very interesting at this point in time. Broader markets, let's pull up a few stocks that are in thick trade. You do have Quick Heal Technologies also within the IT pack, that's now up 8%. So the mid-cap IT names are also doing very well. Dixon Keynes we have discussed already. Premier Energies is also up by 5.8% apart from Waaree Energies. We also have stocks like even NetWeb Technologies, that's up and about in trade. GAIL, there is no stopping right there, 6% higher for this one too in trade, and in fact GAIL is among the top movers on the F&O space as well. Two stocks in fact, GAIL and Polycab. I wanted to discuss two from varied sectors right here, Osho, for you. How should one look at GAIL right now? 5.5% higher after those earnings and brokerage houses updates coming in. And on Polycab, there has been a slow and steady recovery from the lows. How should one look at it? It's been an erstwhile outperformer.
See, overall, firstly for GAIL, this is the first day where we are witnessing a very strong respite in this counter, but this respite is approximately 6% within the first half an hour of the trade. So I expect that there can be a trend reversal that can be seen in GAIL over a gradual short to medium term time frame. The technical parameters have just overturned from the oversold territory and has seen a very strong positive crossover. So I expect that there can be a strong reversal coming in GAIL. On the higher end, the immediate resistance or the first target that can be seen around the zone of 218 to 200 levels, and once it breaches the same, then we can see 235 in the upcoming period. But overall, I expect the trend has been changed, and now the zone of 200 205 should be acting as a support for GAIL. So this counter can be seen for short-term investors to accumulate in a staggered manner for immediate target of 220 followed by 235.
Ladies and gentlemen, 9:54, we've had a very nice 45 minutes of trade since the morning. It's a clear move that has been driven by IT stocks in particular. Now 2.5% higher on the IT index, 41,450. 1,000 points uptick, and a clear message coming in from Dalal Street what its understanding of the outcome, or the probable outcome on the US election is. Apart from that, you have the Nifty now 151 points higher, days high, 24,365 is with us. The Nifty Bank on its weekly expiry day is showing strength, and a lot of value buying, a lot of bottom fishing, and a lot of short covering is helping the Nifty, as also other parts of the market, to have this deep shade of green on the Lal Street. What you see in front of you is an advanced decline ratio of 1,883 shares in the green versus 370 in the red. So it's a 6:1. For every one share that is falling on the Lal Street, there are 6 that are in the gains. We track 19 indices for you. Out of 19, all 19 are in the green. So welcome to a fresh up move led by IT stocks as far as markets are concerned. Look at the advanced decline ratio in the NSE 500. 402 shares versus 96 that are in the red. Very quick look at top gaining counters. You have Waaree Energies 6.3% higher, Bombay Stock Exchange 4% higher, 47.96. It's the banks and the IT stocks that are pulling it up. Infosys 2.9% higher, 1805. You have TCS 2.5% higher, 4071. And of course, you have strength coming in the form of Reliance, in the form of ICICI Bank, in the form of SBI, and of course HDFC Bank and Axis Bank that are also pulling the Nifty higher. Would you want to comment on 24,300 option call for November 14th, Osho?
Yes, for Nifty, I expect that there can be a continuation of the uptrend, but I will become bullish, strongly bullish once it closes above the zone of 24,400. Because in the last 2-3 weeks, there has been a strong consolidation around the same levels, and which is also coinciding with the 100-day EMA on the daily time frame. So I will be more bullish or above the zone of 24,400, or if there will be any kind of intraday dips. As you have mentioned that now the rally has been driven by the IT sector, and IT has already seen a very drastic performance in the first 1 hour kind of a trade in the market. So I expect that once the market will start cooling down, then one can definitely try to accumulate or try to look for opportunity in Nifty call option. But for now, I will be rather staying sidelines for Nifty. We will become aggressive only above 24,400 for short term period.
Right. Almost 2 minutes now left for this show to be wrapped up. Let's look at volume busters, where you have a strong show in terms of active trader and investor participation, and the price is also on an uptick. From the IT space, eClerx 5% higher, 3193. 2.9 lakh shares have been traded, which is 3.7 times the 5-day average. A strong move coming into NetWeb Technologies, 6 percentage points higher, 2811, 1.2 times the 5-day average. A strong move in Mankind Pharma, 1.1% higher, and you have a move in terms of 2745, 2.6 times higher. Triveni Engineering, Dr Reddy's labs are also doing good. Let's look at the pharma space, because that's also completely US focused. About 50 to 60% of Indian pharmaceutical industry's revenue is actually from US exports. Okay, Dr Reddy's 2 percentage points higher after a dismal number. To you, Osho, your view on Dr Reddy's 1200, what are the charts telling you?
For Dr. Reddy, again, this counter have seen a very strong consolidation in the last 4-5 trading sessions around the 200-day SMA. And after that, today we have witnessed a very strong upside movement also. So I expect that there can be a kind of a relief or trend reversal that can be seen in this counter. But on the higher end, approximately 1330 to 1340 is a very strong resistance for this counter. One can definitely become bullish once it crosses the zone of 1340 on a decisive manner or on a closing manner for a short to medium term time frame. But for now, the range is approximately 1340 on the higher end and near about 1270 on the lower end. So one should try to accumulate on the dips towards the zone of 1270, 1280 and try to book their profits around 1340 for short term traders.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Osho, thank you so much for joining us on Business Today early morning, and a very, very strong show coming in from the Lal Street, ladies and gentlemen. The bulls are back, and they're back in style. Nifty 147 points higher, days high 24,362. The Bank Nifty on its weekly expiry day in the green, doing fantastically well, 52,329. But the star of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is the Nifty IT index, 2.8 percentage points higher, 1113 points up at 41,543. It's raining gains on the IT index. Infosys contributing 457 points, TCS contributing 257 points, HCL contributing 139 points. Persistent, Wipro, Coforge, L&T Mindtree, Emphasis and L&T Technologies are also up in strength as far as the markets are concerned. Is the worst behind us? Most likely, ladies and gentlemen. Can we see profit booking coming in? Of course, that also welcomes in new viewers. But after a massive correction of about 2,200 points on the Nifty, a fall from 26,200 to all the way down to 24,800, it seems that the bears have been satisfied with a 10 percentage point cut on the Nifty, and since yesterday, even today, you have a huge movement on the upside, primarily because the overhang of the US elections is now out of the way. US Federal Reserve starts its two-day meeting on interest rate cuts from today. The result will be known on Wall Street on Thursday. We will react to it on Friday, most likely a 0.25 percentage rate cut. So it's all looking good on the Lal Street, ladies and gentlemen. Continue on Business Today television, and we'll be having a lot more on the other side of the break.
It's a tight fight to the finish. In less than 48 hours, America decides its next president. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris pushed their closing messages to voters on the last day of campaigning. Republican Donald Trump made a last pitch for support in Pennsylvania, the largest of the 7 states expected to decide the presidential election. Trump repeatedly criticized the US election process.
They are fighting so hard to steal this damn thing. Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on in your state. Every day, they're talking about extending hours and stuff. Who ever heard of this stuff? We should have one-day voting and paper ballots. It's a damn shame. And I'm the only one that talks about it because everyone's afraid to damn talk about it. And then they accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist. These are conspiracy, and they want to lock you up. They want to put you in jail. The ones that should be locked up are the ones that cheat on these horrible elections that we go through in our country. And I don't know what's going to happen, but for future elections, I won't be even a part of it. But you ought to damn well go to paper ballots. You ought to go to voter ID. And you ought to have the election over by 9 o'clock. I'm hearing now they're going to take weeks. Can you imagine? They spend all this money on machines, and they're going to say, we may take an extra 12 days to determine. And what do you think happens during that 12 days? What do you think happens? These elections have to be decided by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock on Tuesday night. Bunch of crooked people. These are crooked people.
Trump, who continues to falsely claim that his 2020 loss to Democratic President Joe Biden was the result of widespread fraud, insists that he is winning.
Our country is a crooked country, okay? It's a crooked country, and we're going to make it straight. We're going to make it straight, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Opinion polls showed Donald Trump and Kamala Harris locked in a tight race, with Harris bolstered by strong support among women voters, while Trump gains ground with Hispanic voters, particularly men. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris made her closing pitch at a rally in East Lansing, Michigan. Harris addressed Michigan's 200,000 Arab Americans, starting her speech with a nod to civilian victims of Israel's conflict with Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
This year has been difficult, given the scale of death and destruction in Gaza, and given the civilian casualties and displacement in Lebanon. It is devastating. And as president, I will do everything in my power to end the war in Gaza. To bring home the hostages, end the suffering in Gaza, ensure Israel is secure, and ensure the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, security, and self-determination. Are we ready to fight for it?
Harris did not mention Trump's name during the 25-minute speech, only referring to certain individuals.
I believe health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And to those certain individuals who still want to get rid of the Affordable Care Act and take us back to the days when insurance companies could deny people with pre-existing conditions, well, you all know what we say. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back.
With a population of approximately 5.2 million, Indian Americans are the second largest immigrant community in the United States, behind only Mexican Americans. And this election, they want to stamp their presence with their clear demands.
हमारे पास दिवाली की छुट्टी नहीं है, लेकिन कई लोगों ने इलेक्टेड ऑफिशियल्स ने हेल्प किया, तो न्यूयॉर्क सिटी में दिवाली की छुट्टी बच्चों को है स्कूल में. हम इलेक्टेड ऑफिशियल्स को उनको तभी चुने जो हमारी माइनॉरिटी को ध्यान दे सके.
Indian Americans have remained deeply connected to the Democratic Party traditionally, but there has been a shift since 2020. According to the Indian American Attitude Survey 2024, published by the Carnegie Endowment, American Indians are high propensity voters. And an astonishing 96% of around 2.6 million Indian Americans registered to vote will likely end up voting in the 2024 elections. The survey found that 57% of respondents lean Democratic, 27% lean Republican, and 14% are true independents. Using this metric, the share of Democrats has declined to 57% from 66% in 2020, and that of Republicans has risen to 27% from 18%.
ट्रम्प का जो रिकॉर्ड है 4 साल का, वो आपके सामने है. लोएस्ट इन्फ्लेशन, हाईएस्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, हाईएस्ट रेट ऑफ इफेक्टिव अर्निंग, not nominal earning, effective earning, and no war started by him.
सपोर्ट करता हूं ट्रम्प को, क्योंकि बाइडेन हैरिस प्रेसिडेंसी ने जो इलीगल इमिग्रेशन किया है, बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स क्रिएट करी हैं.
A lot of people are converging there because they know how important Pennsylvania is. 19 electoral college votes from the state of Pennsylvania, and these volunteers and voters believe that that they can actually convince some of those independent voters that will end up deciding who gets to the White House.
Basically what I was doing is talking to all the different volunteers and making sure that they have Minivan downloaded on their phone, which Minivan is a platform that allows you to see all
swing states, how the electoral college works here, the swing states kind of decide who the president is. So I live in Maryland, right? So I vote, but I feel like I have to do work in the swing states, right? Mobilize people because their say is going to determine who is going to be the president for all of us.
Both Democrats and Republicans have been wooing Indian Americans for election funding. Though Indian Americans are less than 2% of America's population, their median annual household income of approximately $153,000 or about 1.3 crore rupees is more than double that of the country as a whole. And that makes Indian Americans a powerful voting community in this election season.
You know, we have actually seen steady progress in our relationship with the US over the last 5 presidencies, including an earlier Trump presidency. So when we look at the American election, you know, we are very confident that whatever the verdict, our relationship with the United States will only grow. In terms of the Quad, I remind you that actually the Quad was revived under a Trump presidency in